hardship, supplication. Act I, the lingering storm. The ear lobby hummed with the persistent drone of ringing phones, and the soft pitter-patter of rain against the windows. The night was a thick velvet curtain, wrapping the world in a muted embrace that felt both comforting and isolating. Claire, seated behind the reception desk, was cradling a lukewarm cup of coffee, its weak aroma mingling with the antiseptic air of the hospital. A stark reminder of where she was, her eyes flitted across the waiting room, taking in the faces that flickered in and out under the harsh fluorescent lights. Each face, each name, a delicate thread in her mind, woven into the fabric of her prayers, each one representing a life teetering on the edge of emergency. She paused a moment, stretching into a silent eternity, as the world outside seemed to slow to the rhythm of her breaths. Closing her eyes, she found a semblance of solitude amidst the chaos. Lord of mercy, she began, her voice barely a whisper. Help me remember them, each one is seen by you, even in this chaos. She breathed deeply, the scent of rain merging with her thoughts, creating a quiet sanctuary in her heart amidst the night's turmoil. She felt a glimmer, almost unseen, as if an unspoken promise nestled itself into her spirit, offering a delicate assurance that she was not alone in her efforts. The night drew on, weaving fatigue into Claire's bones, a persistent ache that whispered of her limits. Her hands, once nimble and quick, felt heavy as lead. A man's sudden arrival broke the rhythm of her work. His despair was a palpable weight that hung in the air. He leaned against the counter, eyes shadowed with worry, his hands trembling as he clutched a crumpled tissue. My daughter's in there, he stammered, glancing toward the treatment rooms, a silent plea etched onto his features. Claire met his eyes, her own heart echoing his turmoil, a shared acknowledgement of vulnerability and hope. In a moment of shared humanity, she reached across the desk, offering a hand sturdy and comforting. Let's pray, she suggested, her voice steady against the tide of his fear. Together they bowed their heads, the world around them shrinking to the small sacred space between hearts. Holy One, Claire prayed, each word a gentle ripple. Be with her and with him, let your peace wash over this place. The man's breathing slowed, the tension in his shoulders softening, as if the prayer itself was a balm, reassuring him that his daughter was cradled in divine hands, held tighter than any human embrace could offer. The storm outside showed no sign of abating, rain drumming steadily against the windows, a constant companion to their vigil. Claire returned to her post, a quiet determination settling over her like an invisible armor. She found herself reaching inward, seeking the shepherd of her soul, the only anchor she trusted amidst the sea of uncertainty. The words came unbidden, flowing from a depth she had only recently dared to explore. Guide me, she prayed. prayed silently, feeling the whisper of divine guidance threading through her consciousness, a gentle beckoning toward paths unknown. In that moment, an old woman approached, lost and seeking, her eyes a map of stories untold. Claire felt an urging she couldn't ignore, a nudge of divine intuition. She stepped out from behind the desk, offering an arm, steady, reassuring. Let's find where you need to be, she said, her voice infused with newfound resolve. Together they navigated the labyrinthine corridors, Claire's heart buoyed by a sense of purpose that transcended the night's weariness, each step a silent hymn of faith and service, embrace of the divine. The night wore on, and the tension in the ER ebbed and flowed like the tide, an unending dance of distress and relief. Claire found herself back at her desk, the worn seat creaking beneath her as she settled in. She recalled each name, each face, lifting them quietly to the shepherd of her soul. There was a warmth growing within her like a gentle flame, as though God's embrace was wrapping her tired spirit, whispering life into her weary heart, renewing her with each passing moment. The rain began to taper, and with it the chaos of the night gently receded. Claire took a moment to glance outside, the street lights casting a soft glow on the glistening pavement, a serene reflection of the night's trial. She was aware of the presence within and around her, a silent, steadfast communion that held her through the darkest hours, a living testament to the faith that sustained her. Lord of all comfort, thank you for your presence in each moment. Guide our steps and calm our storms. May we find rest and renewal in your embrace. Be with those we love and held up.
Winter Night Vigil. Act I, the stillness of night. The hospital hummed with a quiet rarely found within its bustling confines bright. Sterile lights cast dark shadows on the glossy linoleum floors, where distant machines beeped rhythmically like a heartbeat of silence. The soft-soled steps of night, nurses punctuated the stillness, their motions a sacred ritual echoing through the empty corridors. Outside, winter's chill whispered insistently against the windows, seeking refuge from the cold, its plaintive murmur, an ancient hymn of nature. Sarah sat slumped against the corridor wall, her hands clasped tightly, knuckles white with tension. Her father, shadowed by the threat of a stroke, lay somewhere beyond the sealed ICU doors. The weight of uncertainty pressed upon her like a heavy snowfall, her future as fragile as bare branches shivering beneath the pale moonlight.
Lord of mercy, she whispered her plea, born from desperation and love. Please guide his path and mine, I can't bear to lose him. Not now.
Tears silently traced their paths down her cheeks, unshed droplets of an overflowing storm within her heart, her prayer rising, a vessel of hope seeking divine ears in the silent expanse of the night. A nurse, Anna, moved quietly through the hallway, her presence a specter of comfort. She paused by Sarah, offering a compassionate nod. With understanding eyes, Anna witnessed the prayer without intrusion, her presence an unspoken balm in the desolate night. Her spirit a silent companion to Sarah's anguished vigil. The whisper of hope, Sarah sat still, eyes closed, as night gently coaxed the world toward a weary dawn. The air subtly shifted, bringing a phantom warmth like the first bold buds of spring daring to break winter's icy grip. Within her spirit, a divine whisper stirred, unfurling from her soul like a tendril reaching for light. An unexpected peace descended, sheltering her worry with a grace as tender as a mother's embrace. Her phone vibrated softly, a small beacon in the shadows. It was her brother James. They hadn't spoken since the bitter rift 2 years prior. A quarrel over their father's care left a chasm where brotherly love once resided. An aching wound in her heart. In the stillness, a divine nudge urged her heart to open, to heal.
James, she whispered the name, a tender prayer on her lips. Holy One, help me find the courage to bridge the divide.
The phone glowed in her hand as she typed, "Dad's in ICU, can we talk?" A finger hovered hesitantly over the send button, a weight lifting as she pressed it. A gamble of love and forgiveness. It stirred hope like a pebble tossed into a still pond, its ripples spreading wider and more profound than she could foresee. The embrace of surrender. Minutes stretched into eternity before her phone chimed back. It was James, her breath caught as she answered, each sibling navigating unknown terrain, the terrain of reconciliation. Sarah, his voice came softer than she remembered, like autumn leaves surrendering gracefully to the ground. "I'm on my way." Their conversation was tentative, words like stepping stones across a rushing river, finding their footing amidst uncertainty. They talked as night faded into dawn, holding their father in prayer between the halting sentences, the shepherd subtly guiding them back home. It was a fragile dance of rediscovering what was lost. The power of forgiveness testified with each fumbling word, rebuilding their bridge with cautious steps. In the hallway, the nurse continued her rounds, silently aware of the miracle unfolding, her heart swelling with quiet joy at the hidden victories of the human spirit.
In the hallway, the nurse continued her eyes, silently aware of the miracle folding, her heart swelling with quiet joy at the hidden victories of the human spirit. The dawn of reconciliation. James arrived as the first light of dawn, painted the world in soft, gentle gold hues. The frost on the window surrendered to the warmth of the sun, a reminder of winter's transient grip. Yet the warmth of reconciliation began to thaw the ice in their hearts. Together they stood by their father's bed, united against whatever future lay ahead. Holding hands, a silent prayer joined their spirits. of mercy had whispered their names, answering unimagined ways, knitting them back together in renewed kinship after their long separation. In the quiet of the hospital room, with the gentle nurse as a witness,